Yolanda Shoshana, and you are watching Pop Witch, where I get into the latest in pop culture over a libation. Today's libation is a sparkling apple cider from the Finger Lakes. If you follow wine and spirit tourism, you know that the Finger Lakes is one of the hottest destinations at the moment. Well, there's some wonderful sparkling cider up there made in the champagne method from the Finger Lakes Cider House. This is their Baldwin. I think they are sold out of it, but they have other amazing ciders for you to try. They do ship to certain areas, so go on their website and check it out. Good stuff. So speaking of New Yorkers, let's get into B. Smith and this so-called husband of hers, Dan Gatsby. Well, some of you may not know who B. Smith is, so let me give you a little background before I get into it. B. Smith was what people call the Black Martha Stewart. That is one of the best ways to describe her because they had similar career paths. B, gorgeous to this day, was very gorgeous when she was on TV and everything. She was a model. Then she became a food entrepreneur. She had restaurants, B. Smith, the restaurant. And then she had homewares, beautiful decor for the home and place settings and all that good stuff. Well, she came out in like 2013 with her husband to say that she had Alzheimer's. And we have seen B become someone we don't know at this point because she was so vibrant, so lively, and now she's like a different person. Well, Dan Gatsby, this husband, recently has done interviews with his now girlfriend. He actually posted online first about how he had a girlfriend and he really didn't care, etc., etc. And now the two of them have done interviews and they're talking about the relationship because his girlfriend, Alex Lerner, sometimes lives in the East Hampton home with him and B. So you know this hasn't gone over well. I'm not sure what Dan thought would happen. I guess he thought everybody would go, bravo, good for you. But instead, he has gotten death threats. People are saying bad things about him. And he then flipped it to say that people feel this way because his girlfriend is white. Okay, back that up, dude. So anyway, what I have to say about Dan Gatsby, and as a psychic, someone who looks at energy all the time, is this mofo has been shifty since day one. I've been to New York 20-something years, and I've been to B. Smith's lovely restaurant in the Times Square area for the grown and sexy, nice, elegant meals, perfect to go to before you go to a Broadway show or after you go pick up some dessert and coffee. The employees there had shady stuff to say about Dan years ago, so what he's doing now does not surprise me. Now, my grandfather had Alzheimer's, and my mother took care of him. Now, mind you, my brother and my nephew were there as kind of a support to keep my mother up. So I get it. No one's saying that Dan had to be alone. However, he's kind of flaunting his relationship, which is where the problem lies in. He could have quietly had this relationship, and if people asked, he could have simply said, she's my special friend. We all would have got it, and we all kind of would have went with it. But instead, he's coming forth, talking about it, flaunting it, putting B on TV, saying she's got this great life, etc., etc. Now, I think he's an opportunist, but I think he was an opportunist when he married B. Lucky him that she even gave him a second look, but she also married him. There's also some stuff where she used to question him and his flirting. I just think he's not a good person to begin with. And this is how it's coming out. So a good friend of B's, someone who's known B for a long time, said he has also seen Dan and Alex slap B's hand and treat her like a child. There's no footage of this, but I do believe him. I think that, of course, that's happened. Then you have people who are worried about B and saying, oh my gosh, if something happens to her, she's going to, Alex is going to profit, and anything can happen to her, somebody's got to go in and help. I think Dan is doing everything he possibly can to keep B alive because, as I said, I think he's an opportunist. And without B, he's nothing. He's nobody. So he needs her around to stay relevant. B bought the house that they lived in the East Hamptons years ago, and he recently sold it for $7 million, which means technically he gets the money. He is the main caregiver, so he definitely is profiting with this, but he also apparently likes to spend money. So he needs her to stay lively and keep his livelihood going. So Dan and his new girlfriend have a radio show called Thank You, Dan and Alex, which is about Alzheimer's, because they met because she also had someone in her family who had Alzheimer's, and so allegedly she understands what he's going through, and that's kind of how they fell in love. I don't know who's listening to the show. Part of me thinks the reason why they came forward also is so people would listen to the show. I don't know what's so special about this man that even Alex is that interested. Maybe he's got a good penis. I don't know. So long story short of all of this is sometimes amazing women marry assholes. In this case, that's what happened to be. I don't know how she ended up with Dan. I don't know what she saw in Dan. I just think he's an opportunist asshole, and he got lucky because he is listed as a partner in the B. Smith's whole empire. And maybe he had a few ideas, and maybe he did contribute, but it really was her who built what they have. I think she and Wendy Williams are a good example. If you're going to have your husband as your partner, and this goes for men too, have something that protects you in writing in case something happens. Because if not, you are chained to an a-hole for the rest of your life, and they get a lot of your hard-earned work. I just think this is a lesson for all of us. I hope everything works out with B. Smith. I remember loving watching her on TV, cooking and entertaining, and she still has that fire in her face. So there's a part of her that definitely is still there. And we don't know whether or not she fully understands what Dan is doing. I think someday she does. I know Alzheimer's people go in and out of consciousness, like they remember the old times and they're aware every once in a while. So I'm sure someday she's like, what? But she's not able to do anything about it. So I hope it all works out, and ain't no good gonna come to Dan Gatsby. So until next time, peace, love, and cheers.